What if I told you that it's possible to keep a man interested in you without ever even sleeping with him? What if I also told you that the entire concept that men will only date you if you first give them what they want from you is completely false if you learn this very important strategy? If you want to know what that strategy is, then join me on today's show where we'll be discussing how to keep a man interested without sex. That way you never again have to be in fear of losing the man of your dreams simply because you won't open your legs wide open for him. So point number one, to plan out. You want to eventually be his girlfriend. And this is going to be the starting point of your relationship. What you want to understand is each one of these points, right? So let's say you meet some friends at this point here. And at each one of these points, right, things are going to escalate more and more and more as time goes on, okay? There's nothing wrong or strange about that. But what you want to make sure is as things are supposed to be escalating over the course of time, that you're taking your time with this relationship and allowing it to build and escalate gradually. So what you don't want to be doing is before you meet all of these friends or family or have any of these sleepovers, you're jumping right away to sex, okay, right, on the very first night. Because when you jump right away, right, you have kissing, you have sex, and then you also have a sleepover, right, all in this one night here, and you're doing this all over here, then what is going to happen for the remainder of this timeline where you're supposed to be getting to know each other, where you're supposed to be spending time with each other, and you're supposed to be growing in the intensity of your relationship? There's not going to be much to do here. And so a lot of times, some of you might think, oh, well, Tomisin, I lose out on guys if I'm not going to sleep with them on the very first night, or if I don't sleep with them as soon as possible. You can also lose out on a lot more guys by sleeping with them as soon as possible, and then you have nowhere to go in terms of the intensity of your relationship after a while. First night, we'll just kiss. And when I say that, I really want you to have in your mind, no matter what goes on, no matter how good the relationship is, no matter how much vibes we're sharing together, right, on this date, the most that will happen is I will kiss him, maybe on the lips, okay? Right? And this is what I want you to have in your mind for the very first date, until you get to a point where you say, okay, if I continue to see after 3, 4 dates that he is being consistent with me, he seems to be here for the right reasons, and we're sharing a vibe, now we can say that maybe we'll make out, right? And you can be saying to yourself, okay, by this point in time, if I'm still seeing some good stuff from him, I'll allow the kiss to turn into a makeout. All right. And then from there, let's say at a certain point you meet his family, you've met some of his friends, and you guys are getting closer and closer together. Then you can plan out something like saying, okay, well, now we can kiss and touch. So the reason I say this, right, you can be autonomous enough to kind of move and change these around as you see fit, right? The makeout might come a little bit before you meet the friends, right? Or if you want to take it really slow, you might have the friends come before the makeout, right? But the reason I say this is because every chance, through every stage, you want to be leaving some on the table. There should never be a time where you say to yourself, okay, in this night, I'm going to be doing kissing and touching and making out and this and that. Or you should never be going on your date without a ready-made plan of what the set limit is, how far you're going to go. I know this doesn't sound like love. Okay, I know it doesn't sound magical. I know it doesn't sound like a fantasy or like a Wattpad story, but it will get you where you want to go. If you do not do the job of planning out the timeline, right, meaning how much am I willing to go at this certain stage in our relationship and where is the cutoff point? If you don't plan that out ahead of time, you will go into your dates just based off of feeling. And when you go into your dates based off of feeling, if he makes you feel good, then you're going to be thinking immediately about how to make him feel good. That's very bad. You might think that's good, and that sounds like love, but it's very bad. Because once you make him feel good, you'll be like, damn, that was night number 1. What am I supposed to do up until I become his girlfriend? Please never forget this. I'm here to help you understand this and remind you of these certain things. Your leverage, part of your leverage as a woman, is the fact that he wants something from you. And what he wants from you is what's in between your legs, okay? That's not all he wants, but that is part of why he's pursuing you, his attraction to you. Number two, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of an analogy that we're gonna kind of study together, and I want your opinion on, because this is gonna help us understand what we're trying to do here, all right? So I want you guys to tell me how you feel or what you think about this hypothetical scenario and how you would respond, okay? So let's imagine me and you were friends. And me and you in our friendship, we decide that this Christmas, we're gonna be exchanging Christmas gifts. We wanna make sure both of us, have our little Secret Santa thing going on in our friend group. And me and you decide that we are gonna exchange gifts. I'm gonna give you one and you're gonna give me one. So we're sitting at the Christmas tree exchanging our gifts for our Secret Santa, okay? And when I open your gift, you decided to get me something really nice. You got me a Van Cleef bracelet. You decided to get this for me because you care about me so much and you're like, oh, I can't wait to see your present, all right? And in my amazing present, when you finally open it, right, you see this amazing present after you got me that $3,000 Van Cleef bracelet. And inside that box, when you open it, is a couple of black rocks. If you got me a Van Cleef bracelet, right, a $3,000 Van Cleef bracelet, and I got you some black rocks for Christmas, we're besties, right? Tell me, would you feel good about that or would you feel bad about getting that present, okay, right? Would you be upset about getting that type of present from me? Now, tell me how you would feel, whether you would feel better or the same or worse. If I told you that these aren't just random black rocks, I went looking for specific rocks from the Himalayan mountains, okay? And I took a trip 5 hours away because this was the only store that had these specific rocks. And these specific rocks, what they're supposed to do is when you put them in boiling water, okay, and you heat them up and you put them on your back, it decreases or it releases all of that muscle tension. Because I know you've been going to the gym, you've been squatting like 3 plates. You in the gym going crazy. That's why your quads are busting out. That's why you can barely get your jeans on nowadays, because your quads, your thighs, your bum is huge now. You've been going so hard in the gym. But as you've been going hard in the gym, it's been tightening up your lower back and your muscles are kind of out of line and it's not letting you lift as much as you wanted to. So I made sure to get you these hot rocks that are only available in this one store 5 hours away that I drove to just for you, to make sure that I could get you this, that when you put this on your back, you'll have so much muscle relief, you'll be able to go even crazier in the gym. That's how much I love you. That's how much I care about you. That's how much I'm thinking of you. Now tell me in the chat, after I explain to you why I got you these black rocks and what they actually do and the purpose they're supposed to serve, will you feel better about receiving those black rocks from me? Or will you be like, still, they're just black rocks? So the reason I asked that question, okay, is because I want you to see how important framing can be to any relationship or situation, okay? And the way I kind of want to use that as an analogy is because for you, in your situation with the guys that you're dating, especially when you're not giving them sex, when you're not sleeping with them, this can become a very insecure time for men, especially as time passes, because they're using you and your desire to sleep with them as validation to whether or not you actually want them and are attracted to them, right? That's their assumption. They must not be good enough or doing good enough if you're not sleeping with them. However, you don't want to give him the ultimate source of reassurance and validation through sleeping with him, because after you give him that, then all of a sudden there's nothing left to give. There's no more leverage that you possess. So what you want to do is you want to make sure from the beginning, before you even go down the road of, holding out sleeping with him, right, and pacing yourself in this relationship, you want to make sure that you frame this with your own narrative. Narratives in relationships and in all situations, whether romantic or platonic, are so important. You need to control this narrative. And the narrative in this case is you don't want it to come across as if I'm not sleeping with you because I don't like you, I don't want to be with you, or I'm using you and taking advantage of you. Okay, so I'm not sleeping with you, right? Because I'm not attracted to you and I'm just allowing you to date me and take me out on dates and spend money on me without ever a possibility of you actually being able to be with me, type of thing. The reason I say that is because this period in time when you're not sleeping with a man can make him so insecure that he can start to feel like he's actually not getting anywhere in the relationship or going to get anything from this relationship, that he's just going to continue to invest and invest and invest with no end goal in sight. So I know in your mind, you're thinking to yourself, well, Tomisin, I'm telling you that I like this guy and I want to be with this guy and I will eventually sleep with him. But the problem is if you don't continue to set that framing of what you're trying to shoot for and what the goal is, he'll forget or not realize that, there's more to the relationship than just what's happening right now. And he'll start to build narratives within his own mind that the reason you're not sleeping with him is because you're not attracted to him. And that's going to start to become demotivating for the men. And they're going to stop pursuing you because they think that you're not even attracted to them anyway. So why are they trying so hard to be with you? So the reason that I want to bring this up is because I want you to understand for yourself at the very beginning, you want to frame the situation like this. Me and you are working together to get ourselves to the specific point of being in a long-term relationship. And I'm assuming you as well, that you're invested in this, we want to have the best possible relationship that we can have. Meaning, we should be putting our efforts into the right places so that when we get to the point where we're in a long-term serious relationship, we're both happy with what we're receiving from the other person. When someone approaches you because they want to date you, if they're serious about it, that's something that becomes undeniable. We're working together so we can have a better long-term relationship so that you can be happy and I can be happy. Who's going to say no to that? This is why the framing is so important. Because at the beginning, from the very start, you can start framing it as the reason I'm not sleeping with you is not because I'm not attracted to you. The reason I'm not sleeping with you right now is because I want to make sure that we cover all of the other aspects of our relationship, build our bond together, build our understanding of each other, know what each other's kinks are. And once we understand what we're really about and we really get a grip on each other, right, emotionally, and understand what this relationship is, it will make us so much closer and bond us so much more that by the time we do sleep together, it will be so much more magical. So let's get to number 3 here. When I'm saying verbal, I mean verbal reassurance, okay? I'm attracted to you. When you guys go out, you can say things like, oh, I think you're handsome, right? Oh, I think you look good today, or I like your haircut, right? These are things that you can just add in there, just a little spice, just a little touch. Remember, we don't go overboard with the verbal compliments, but just a little spice to remind him that you're attracted to him, okay, right? Small compliments over time. And the reason I say that is because we don't want him, remember, their narratives are so important. We don't want him to ever get the opportunity to build this narrative in his mind that the reason you're not sleeping with him is because you're not attracted to him or because you're using him, okay? So another example of verbal reassurance that's good, how much I love what we are building. This can come in many different variations. You don't have to say exactly that, right? But on an ongoing basis, you want to verbalize how you like the progress of the relationship, how you enjoy the treatment that he's giving you, how you enjoy the feeling that he's giving you, okay? And I can even add in here, oh wow, I want to add this here and I want to make sure you guys can see this, right? At the bottom, I added in here, good treatment turns me on. Because remember, you don't always just want to be complimenting his haircut or his t-shirt and things like that, right? Good to compliment his physical appearance every now and again, but what you want to compliment or you want to say that verbalize that is turning you on is the treatment that he's giving you. I know it sounds silly, but that's the thing you want him focused the most on giving you in order to turn you on, in order to get you going. I'm the most attracted to you when I see you do this, right? So for example, when he opens the door for you, when he gets you flowers, when he does these kind things that are thoughtful for you, right? When he goes to the store and gets you your favorite drink before you have to go for a meeting or something like that, this is where you verbalize, oh my gosh, your treatment of me actually turns me on. right? And you can even make it seem like, oh my God, I'm so weird for that, aren't I? When you did this thing for me, it actually got me going more, right? It actually turned me on. I don't know why it did, but just seeing you be so manly and take care of things like a man just gets me going, right? That's the way you want to verbalize all of this, because once again, you're making him feel like, oh, you're not sleeping with me because you're not attracted to me. And you're also not sleeping with me because you're trying to take advantage of me or just get me to spend money on you with no end goal in sight. You actually like me. You actually want to be with me, and you actually are enjoying building with me, right? That's why I said I love what we're building. Because it reminds him that this is all going towards an end goal, that you guys are eventually going to have the most amazing sex after you build all these other aspects of the relationship. I know that it sounds like he should already know that and he should want to invest in me regardless, but it's a good reminder, because just like you can overthink, the men can begin to overthink. And when you have so much leverage like this, men can easily overthink. So what's an example of bad verbalization? I know this sounds very silly, but bad verbalization, right, would be, I'm not sleeping with you because of my rules, because this is going to make it feel like it's you versus him. It's also going to make him feel like this is more transactional. Okay, I know I'm teaching you guys strategy, so it actually does feel a very transactional, but you have to understand with the men, you don't want it to make it seem like, hey, I'm holding out here because I want to keep my leverage while I scope out what you're doing or what you're choosing not to do, because that's going to determine whether or not I give myself to you. These rules and regulations will start to make guys resent you and feel like they're getting used by you. Okay, I know you're not purposely trying to do that, but remember, narratives are so important and framing is so important. You never want to make a guy feel like, as you're holding out or not giving him sex, that it's because you're trying to like make sure or protect yourself or use some sort of rule that you heard from someone else. Okay, right? We want to make it seem like, oh, I do like you and I want to build this and I want us to both be on the same page about this. Okay, so I could even add here, right? It's not you versus him. Okay, it's not your rule of 90 days before you sleep with someone versus him. It's not some sort of arbitrary thing that you heard some content creator talk about like me or anyone else, that when you heard them say this, you're like, okay, yeah, I won't do this because my favorite content creator said not to do it, so that's why I'm giving you this rule. No. That's not going to work. And that's not the framing that you want. That's not the verbalization that you want, okay? Right? What you also don't want to make the mistake of doing is saying next time, okay? See, this can become a bit frustrating to guys that you're dating, because if you start making it seem like, oh, next time we'll sleep together, just not this time. Next time we'll do the thing, just not this time. They're going to start to look forward to the possibility of actually being able to do the thing. And so what will happen is, after a period of time, when they're not able to actually do the thing with you, they're going to start thinking to themselves, oh, you're just lying to me. Okay. You're just holding out here. Right? You're just kind of pretending so that eventually I'll just continue to have hope and I won't realize what's actually going on here. So when you're verbalizing yourself about how you feel or why you're choosing to do this and not sleep with him right away, you don't want to make it seem like, oh, I'm not sleeping with you, but sometimes I feel like sleeping with you. But sometimes I feel like I'm not sure if this is the right decision. But sometimes, I just, maybe one day I'll break, or maybe last night I was really into it. I don't know, right? We don't want your verbalization, right, of you trying to reassure him by trying to make him feel like you're going to break any moment. That becomes very confusing to men, and you're not sending them the right message. We want to make you seem like you're sure of what you want, and you're sure of how you guys are best going to get there by working together and building the other aspects of your relationship. And despite your attraction to him, you know that the best version of your relationship will come when you guys work together and build this up together. You're not going to present yourself as being unsure of this decision, okay? That's not going to send the right message, okay? You're also not boosting his ego or making things any better by making yourself seem unsure. Number 4 is going to be about the body. What's a good version of physical reassurance? The way that you look at him, right? Your look / your gaze can communicate to him a lot of either interest or disinterest in him and this relationship, okay? So the reason I say that is because you want to make sure throughout your relationship with him that there's a healthy amount of eye contact when you guys are talking and having conversation, especially when you guys are in an intimate setting, whether it be just you and him or out in public. The reason I say that, you might think, well, Tomisin, eye contact's such a basic thing. Why would I care about that in terms of keeping him interested? Remember, when we talk about flirting, and we talk about the dance that you'll play with someone in terms of that energy, that flirtatious vibe, that seductive vibe that you want to give off. We want you to be on an ongoing basis giving off a seductive vibe to the guy that you're dating and talking to. We don't want him, remember, to build a narrative in his mind that you're not sleeping with him because of your disinterest in him. We also want to do what we can refer to as small touches. This is something that you can get good at understanding as you understand your man. So what do I mean by small touches? Every guy's a little bit different. Some guys might be really into head rubs. Okay, they like to get their hair petted and things like that. Some guys, they like it when they can be driving in the car and then you can have your hand on the back of his neck, just kind of stroking his neck and the back of his head there. That's really soothing for him. Some guys like it when they can get back scratches or back tickles, however you guys want to describe it as, okay? And these are the type of things that as you learn, the little intimate ways you can show him that you care, appreciate him, and have some sort of physical attraction to him without actually making out with him or taking your pants off, those are always great, okay, right? So we want all of these small touches and small demonstrations of intimacy, whether you want to do it in public or in private, to communicate, I am attracted to you. So what's an example of bad touches, okay? Hand in pants, an example of bad versions of physical touch. Anything that relates to, aside from his own lips, your mouth on anything is a bad communication of that, all right? Whether you're sucking his fingers, sucking his thing, or eating his whatever. You get my point, all right? That is not the communication of physical reassurance that we want you giving to those men. Okay, I know it sounds silly, but I have to point that out because sometimes when you're thinking to yourself, okay, how am I going to make him know that I want him, that I'm attracted to him without sleeping with him? The first thing you start thinking of is putting your mouth on things, hand in your pants. You're not opening your legs for any reason, all right? Please, no gateway drugs. And I'm not actually talking about drugs. I'm talking about the gateway things to sex, okay? So if you're taking off your pants and you're opening your legs and he's burying his head inside of your legs and you're thinking, oh, this is great, we can do stuff without actually sleeping together, wrong. You're sending the wrong message and you're only actually gonna make the situation worse because now you're getting so close to it that you're gonna begin frustrating him every time you say no to him, okay? And also, you're going to be putting yourself in temptation alley because every time that he does this, if he ever does this really well, any of these gateway drugs, we'll call them really well, you're going to be in a position where you're going to say, well, damn, I didn't know you was able to eat it like that. Maybe I'll reconsider you putting the tip in. And trust me, when you're in the moment and you allow these gateway drugs to start rolling, you'll start losing your mind, okay? And you'll start all the stuff that we talked about in the Players Club about do this and do that and self-respect. All of that will start going out the window because your mind will be filled with so many dirty, nasty thoughts. Because when you communicate it like that and you're not actually ready to sleep with him, he's going to be really confused. He's also going to be really frustrated because he's going to start feeling like there's some sort of game here. Active experiences. Now, the reason I say active experiences, I've talked to you guys about passive experiences before and why I want you to avoid passive experiences, because active experiences are so great for getting men focused on the right thing so that they're not so focused on the wrong thing. So what do I mean by an active experience, right? You and him, let's say, are gonna go fishing. You guys go fishing and he's a really expert fisherman, all right? That's something that he really enjoys doing. So he takes you out and you guys go fishing together. Now, this can be time where you have conversation. This can be time where you get to know each other. This can be time where you spend some time, intimate together, but in a setting that requires active focus and to be present there, all right, in order to do the thing. The reason I bring this up, because some of you might think, Thompson, I would never go fishing in a million years. Why the hell would I be on a boat going fishing? I don't even go camping, let alone going fishing. I'm not going to be out in nature for a damn thing. The reason I say this is because it's even better if you can make the active experience something that he already enjoys. Because that means when you finally get there and do the thing, it's going to take up so much more of his focus because he enjoys doing the thing. And trust me, you want to get a guy distracted, because what I want you to kind of understand about men is sex is like energy. And for the men as well, when they really are hungry for sex, that's a lot of energy that actually can be channeled in different places. For those of you who are unaware, because you're obviously women, one of the things that men teach each other when we're talking about semen retention, okay? Semen retention just means retaining your seed as a man and not busting nuts everywhere in every woman or having sex with random people, okay? When men are practicing semen retention, one of the things that they're taught to do is whenever they feel that built up sexual energy, to channel it into another place. Whether it be, okay, you feel horned up like you want to watch some corn videos, you go right on, drop down, do 50 push-ups. You feel like you want to go and message this girl some horned up stuff, you go for a run, okay? Anytime you're feeling that energy inside you that you want to go and fall back and relapse, you go and you channel your energy into this. You channel your energy into that. So why do I say that to you? For you, this becomes part of your practice, is getting him to channel that energy that's so focused on getting after you sexually into other things, other avenues that also will take up his focus to the point where he'll actually forget how much he's trying to sleep with you, if that makes sense. But he'll still enjoy this time. So the reason I split these up here is because in a different sense, if you make the mistake of making the experience too passive, so for example, the experience here we'll just put is a movie, and that's all you guys end up doing, rather than focusing your attention on what's going on the screen, right? This will be so passive that the two of you will just be focused on what's going on in between you, right? And you'll be focused on, this, and this idle time, right? This idle time between you guys is what's going to allow him to start making moves on you, because that built up energy is not being focused anywhere except for on you sitting so close to him. And the fact that your dump truck is so big, and the fact that your jeans are so tight that he wants to feel up on you while you guys watch this boring movie, okay? So the reason I say that is because, one, you can bond with him so much better here. You can spend some time with him in a way that he really enjoys. And because he's enjoying this time so much, it's easier for him to forget the fact that he's not getting an opportunity to sleep with you. And these active experiences are even more amazing when they can happen outside of the house. Because now the possibility of him sleeping with you on the fishing trip is just very slim to none. But he has so much fun on the fishing trip because he enjoys the thing, not to mention, okay, this is a little bit of a bonus tip, not to mention the fact that because you go out and do some sort of active experience that he already enjoys, he gets an opportunity to teach you about this active experience, okay? You know how we have the term mansplaining? Nothing more you can do for a man than go out on an activity that he can teach you about the entire time. He'll be so drawn in by being able to tell you, oh, so this is how this works, and I'm going to show you this by this. Okay, so when you catch this rod, you want to take the bait like this, and you want to wrap the worm around this, and then you can do it out. Oh, you did a good job. So just make sure when you cast that net and you do that like that, he'll be so involved in teaching you about the topic that he knows so much about and he's so fascinated by, and you're a beginner actually showing some interest there. A lot of your dates, by the time they go 2, 3, we don't want to make them too long, 2, 3, 4 hours, however long, he'll forget the fact that this whole date he didn't get an opportunity to sleep with you, because that energy he would have spent thinking about trying to make a move on you, he spent actually bonding with you and teaching you whatever it was, the activity that you guys were doing.